Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics coming to you live on Trust TV from our studio here in the Federal Capital Territory. This is your go-to destination for everything politics and other developing issues within the polity within and outside Nigeria. Thank you most kindly for joining us on what promises to be yet another engaging and insightful edition of the program. Now, with just days to the one-year anniversary of the Tinubu administration in Nigeria, the overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction from all quarters is telling on the current trajectory of the most populous black nation in the world. The president, in a defiant message, says the bleeding has stopped and Nigeria is headed towards prosperity. But does that mean, what does it actually mean, rather, considering all the factors as well as the indices showing a steep decline, which has caused widespread national austerity? And what is the fair way to assess the performance of the renewed hope agenda given the current state of affairs in the country? Joining me on the program tonight to help us navigate and unpack some of the talking points on the program is Jide Ojo, public affairs commentator. Alongside him is Ahmed Lawan, a politician and a PDP stalwart. Join us on the program tonight. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you and thank you so much for joining me tonight.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. Right, before we talk about everything Nigeria, let's start off on one particular issue that also signposts what we continue to face in this country, where the politics of the situation always finds a way to boil over. And I would like us to start from Kano, where we now have a quagmire in our hands, for instance, regarding the Emirate saga in Kano. Let me get your 2 cents on what the politics of the situation has to do with the disturbances that we're seeing right now. You know, it's not just a disagreement now, it's not just people expressing their displeasure, it is turning into protests and riots in the ancient city of Kano. Let me start with you, Jide Ojo. What are your 2 cents about where we are right now in Kano?
Thank you, Mala Ahmed. It's very unfortunate development, and politics is trumping traditional institution. Quite unfortunately, the political gladiators are using our traditional institutions to play chess, and they are on ego tripping. And what has happened in the last 72 hours in Kano was something that was hatched from the time of immediately after the elections last year, when Engineer Rabi Musa Kwankwaso gave a hint that that issue will be revisited. And in the last few months, you will see a stage-managed attempt to remove Ganduje through the world, fueled and sponsored by the NNPP, which
allegedly.
I mean, the APC people have said that the NNPP actually were the ones instigating, and it will seem so. It will seem like they foresaw that with Ganduje still being the chairman of APC, it won't be easy to dethrone Abdullahi and install Sanusi, because whichever way you look at it, it's based on a partisan interest. And Abdullahi Ganduje is the national chairman of APC. He has not been successfully removed, and we saw how the military supposedly accompanied Abdullahi back to Kano. Was it yesterday?
Supposedly or apparently, because we can actually
supposedly
we can actually see them, you know, the pictures and the videos.
Okay, I don't want to confirm anything, but there was a report that he actually flew the presidential jet, and then he had military escort, and the Commissioner of Police Kano has pledged allegiance to Abdullahi, and now Sanusi is facing an uphill task, even though he is managed to occupy the main Emir's palace. But uneasy lies the situation. Right. And with the protests that has started today, only God knows what will happen in the coming days.
Right. Ahmed Lawan, as a politician, let me get your take on this one, because there seems to be a consensus that it started with politics, and that is why we are here. So many supporters of the former governor of Kano State and current national chairman of the APC alluded to how, the returned emir was in support of the APC during the campaigns, and that might have, fueled his decision to remove him in that fashion some 4 years ago. Give me your sense on where we are right now, and if there is going to be a political solution, because as it stands right now, the people of Kano are divided between, these two respected stakeholders of the state.
Well, politicians in Kano are successfully in dividing the people of Kano State. If you look at now, we have 2 emirs in Kano now. One belongs to the APC and one belongs to the CPC. Because that's what, if you look at what is happening now.
I mean,
because
APC or
APC and NNPC and NNPP. And the Ado Bayero, Aminu Ado Bayero, he was given that title by the governor of Kano State, who is a former governor of, under the platform of the APC. Now he was removed by the present governor under the platform of the NNPP. So that to show that it's 2 political parties in Kano trying to divide the people of Kano State. It's purely political that's happening here. But the most unfortunate thing is that this traditional rule, or the emir, or the emirate in Kano State, is the only strong emirate that we are proud in the northern Nigeria. Today it seems that these people that are trying to devalue the emirate in Kano State. And the politicians, they don't care about anybody. All what they care is their personal interest. They don't care about who you are. They don't care about your entitlement. They don't care where you come from. All what they care is about personal interest. So we don't want politicians to ignite the fire that no water can stop it. So we are calling for them, they should police and police. We need peace. The tension we are today in this country is enough for us. We don't want additional tension. So this is purely politics. There's nothing, no less, no more than politics.
Right.
That's what happened.
And how does this end in your view? I mean, because clearly the presidency has distanced itself from this one. There is a legal matter in court right now regarding the reinstatement of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi II as the 16th emir of Kano. There is also the fact that the State Assembly, rightfully so, within its own jurisdiction, have repealed that law and have reinstated Sanusi Lamido Sanusi through what appears to be a legal procedure. Do you see the course of the legal actions being enough to address this, or do you see a political solution to this?
Well, I believe Nigerian government is governed by the constitution of this country, and we are governed by the law. The State Assembly, their responsibility to make laws, and also they make laws which make the Sanusi Lamido Sanusi to return back as the emir of Kano State. It's governed by law, and the governor of Kano State who has signed that law to make sure that he signed it to law to make sure that Sanusi Lamido Sanusi return as an emir of Kano State. And the second hand, there is a case in the court. There's an order in the court that says you should stop the reinstatement of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi as an emir of Kano State. So we have to wait to hear from the court, because whatever are going to do, all of them they are going in the right direction. Because you cannot stop the House of Assembly to do their responsibility, their duty. Their duty is to make laws. So we cannot say the court will stop the House of Assembly to enact laws. As secondly, you cannot stop the governor to perform his duty, responsibility by signing the laws. So that's why I say we should wait the outcome of the court. So whatever decision made by the court, I believe is going to be abided to all of the people of Kano State, either for the state government or the Emirate Council.
Now, in talking about the cost of this, we always like to use this proverbial saying, when 2 elephants fight, is the grass that suffers.
Yes.
What is the implication of what we're witnessing right now? It's safe to say that this is not the first time it's happening in Kano. It has happened before. At several points in time in the history of the Emirates, it has happened. The one that easily comes to mind from the Ganduje incident with Sanusi Lamido Sanusi is when Abubakar was governor in ousted the late revered Emir Ado Bayero, who was later reinstated, by the way. Give me a sense of what this will mean, because for so many people, Kano has always been a battleground, politically speaking, and there are concerns that this is also tied to the next election cycle, because whoever controls Kano controls a significant chunk of the votes going into 2027.
Well, before you even talk of 2027, there must be life and there must be peace.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Kano happens to be one of the oases of peace in northern Nigeria. The kind of insecurity we see in Kaduna did not spill over to Kano, Jigawa. Even what we see in Zamfara, see in Katsina, you don't see that in Kano. So miraculously, they have had they are packed with peace. But this politics, I think the elder statesmen need to call the two warring factions to order. The presidency cannot play the ostrich. Obviously, they are in support of one against the other, and their loyalty seems to be with Adobayo. Whatever it is, peace must be restored in Kano. Because as we have seen today, there is already a breakdown of law and order. And that is not good for the tension, the kind of insecurity we've been seeing. This will be like a self-inflicted, self-inflicted injury if this is allowed to linger. Whichever way, I understand where the Kano state government is coming from. They said the judge that gave the ex parte order gave it from US, and that he shouldn't have done so. Somebody from NJC allegedly claimed that they are doing e-learning and whatever. So all manner of intrigues. But what I appeal is for President Tinubu to step in early enough. Ganduje has
given that his national security advisor has been accused of taking sides in this particular manner, do you think the president's role in this would have any sort of impact? I mean, don't forget, he brokered peace that didn't last a couple of weeks in Rivers. So what are the chances that this will work?
He can instruct. One, military has no place. Deployment of troops should not be encouraged. Because, you see, again, NNPP needs to tread very carefully. The whole chicanery of frustrating the emergence of Abba Kabir Yusuf is partly because of this thing that we are seeing. Recall that there were a lot of intrigues even with judicial pronouncements at the election tribunal, particularly the Court of Appeal decision that had clerical error, one saying he has been removed, others saying he has not been removed, before it was resolved at the Supreme Court. And it is because of this kind of animosity, this kind of pent-up intrigues that they knew, because of the personality clash between Ganduje and Kwankwaso, because this is even a proxy fight for Abba Kabir Yusuf, is acting the thoughts of his godfather, which is Kwankwaso. But the presidency can ask that, one, why is it that Adobayo that seems to be standing up against Abba Kabir Yusuf? There are 5 emirates. The other emirs, we have not heard anything about them. They have taken their faith. They have taken whatever happened in good faith. And we know that the father of Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, suffered similar fate in the 60s before he was reinstated by Abubakar in the 1980 or 1983. So it's been a back and forth, and the most important thing is for the presidency to say, if he has to order status quo ante, not recognizing either of the two, allowing judicial process to be dealt with, because the Kano can be governed without emir. You understand? It's the governor that should be there. Right. As it is, I recall that is it Ganduje or even Abubakar that was saying, who is a traditional ruler that is answerable to a local government chairperson? Right. You understand? That is how much they have denigrated the office of the traditional institution. So, for the sake of good governance, the two of them can be asked to stay off the emir's palace pending the resolution of the case in court, and then whoever eventually get recognized by the court, get sworn in as the emir.
You get a sense that this matter is not going to end with any court pronouncement, but we'll wait to see how it continues to unfold. Let's talk about where we are right now as a country, because that's where the thoughts of Nigerians would be in a matter of days. On May 29th, the Tinubu administration, the Renewed Hope agenda, will be 1 year old as far as running the affairs of this country is concerned. What are your 2 cents about, how well President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has actualized his promises so far?
Well, to me, there is no any promise fulfilled by this government. That's my own personal observation. Because during inauguration of Mr. President, he issued a statement. Subsidy is gone. That's why he put our problem up to this moment I'm taking to you. Nigeria are in tension. People are suffering. People are not smiling. Inflation is almost 40%. People are not happy because of a single statement made by Mr. President. And he ought not to say that statement, because any statement made by Mr. President is a policy statement. Because we are thinking about maybe he will say any policy statement when he have full executive members of the Executive Council. And during that time, we don't have legislative in the House of the National Assembly. So we are expecting any decision taken by Mr. President should be discussed at the Council chamber with the executive members of the Council, and then you look at advice from the National Legislative, because they are all representing people. Because before he issued that statement, today he issued that statement, people are not happy up to this moment. Inflation is almost 40%. So what are you going to say that this administration have succeeded? Because the first thing is you have to put smile on the mind of the people. People vote for him. People vote for you, and people are expecting from you that they are looking for because people are thinking the past government that the influencing tension on them. They are expecting Tinubu will come on and continue reducing the tension for them. But what is happening is they inflate the tension on the people. People are not smiling. That's why I see people are dying every blessed day because of the tension. So to my own observation, based on individual approach, this government have done less. Because the first thing you have to do is to make sure that security of the people, social security of the people is number one thing for you to do as a leader. Social security. And everywhere in the world, there is subsidy in one thing or the other. In this government, there's nothing this government put subsidy on it. The only thing we rely is the issue of oil. That's the only thing that you put in people.
It's safe to say, going by IMF or the World Bank and experts in the field, subsidy is still in place at a different level. And it does appear that it's actually costing us more than what it used to cost the country.
Whatever happened, that's what I'm saying. That decision taken by Mr. President alone, that's what making where we are today. Hadn't been is a collective responsibility, collective decision taken by the Executive Council of the Executive Council and National Assembly members. That belongs goes to him alone. But because he made that statement only him, without seeking advice from anybody, that's why all eyes are on him now. So that's why we say we are not blaming IMF. We didn't vote for IMF. We vote for Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu because we are expecting him. He will come and do more than what Mr. President did. The former President Muhammadu Buhari. But look at where we are today. People are not smiling. Even he himself, he is regretting that word that made during his inauguration. Okay,
I believe. I didn't hear that one. But in talking about where we are right now, a lot of people have said, listen, we can't expect any magic at this moment in time. 1 year is not enough to pass judgment on his performance as far as reforms go. How do you respond to people who say, clearly the rot has been there and there is no magic that he could have done within just 1 year to turn things around?
He knew the problem of this country before asking people to vote for him. Because he knows very well that whenever you come to the office as elected officer, the first thing people are expecting you to hit the rock and start working for the people. So 1 year in office is enough for any elected officer to do wonders. But you can no excuse for you to tell me that 1 year in office is not enough for a leader to do wonders. No excuse for that.
Right. Mr. Jide Ojo, let's get your take on this one. It's going to be 1 year of the Renewed Hope agenda. The government wants to play it low-key as far as celebrations go, rightfully so, because it would appear to be insensitive if there was any sort of, fanfare around it because of the current state of affairs. What is the fair and objective way to look at the performance of the Tinubu administration 1 year down the line?
Thank you, Madam. Fair and objective yardstick would be to look at development indices year on year. All the development indices are pointing south, but they were not pointing north before he inherited. They were pointing south, but they were going south-south.
If you can qualify that for us.
It's like...
I understand the south, but I don't understand the south-south.
Right. South is the southernmost.
Right. From fire to fire, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
The issue is not about him removing the subsidy. I'm with him on removal of subsidy. The issue I have with him is lack of proper coordination. In my column in the Punch newspaper last week, I did a calibration, and I did say there are 11,082 elective political offices in Nigeria, and you cannot put the blame on one individual, even if it's an executive president. There are a lot of missed opportunities. There are things I'd expected to see that I didn't see in this administration. For instance, I didn't see prudence that I want to see in an austere environment being extended to our political leaders. I mean, we all know the problems are there. All the three major candidates, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Tinubu, said they were going to remove subsidy. It was a matter of whether they would have removed it on the day of inauguration or sometimes later. But the prudence I have expected to see was to cut cost of governance in a manner that reflects the austere times that we are. If I were to be the president, I would not allow this kind of ostentatious lifestyle that our political office holders still enjoy. How can you be buying official cars with billions and you are asking ordinary citizens to tighten their belt? You are spending billions renovating an already built accommodation for president, vice president. Guest houses are being renovated with billions. We didn't get our priorities right in those sense. And I think it must come to equity, must come with clean hands. I am not against some of the policies are bitter pills we have to swallow. It's like you have typhoid and malaria. You don't expect that you'll be giving the same treatment as somebody who has a cough. Cough syrup are usually very sweet. You understand? But malaria, you talk of queens, chloroquine, camoquine, whatever queen. And if you make mistake and it sits on your taste bud, you will know how bitter it is. But you need it to get well. As it were, there is something called ceteris paribus in economics, all things being equal. We were told the Port Harcourt refineries will be ready by December 2022. We missed that deadline.
The
2022 was the initial period they told us under Buhari. Then they said, don't worry, by March 2023, we will have it. That was the last administration. We missed that. Then they said June. We missed June. Then they said December 2023. What they claim to have achieved is mechanical revival of the... As we speak, we are about to enter June. They are just telling us in low tones to expect Port Harcourt refinery to come on stream. If Port Harcourt had come on stream, if Dangote had come on stream, as at the time that pronouncement about removal of subsidy was made, the aftershock will not be this huge on the populace, because then you will stop importation, you will even save the naira, because you won't need to use so much dollar to bring in refined petroleum products. As it were now, you did two things simultaneously which were incongruent and wrongly timed. And I say this, that it was wrongly timed, because according to Buhari, he said the provision in 2023 budget for fuel subsidy is for 6 months. When will you come on May 29 and say subsidy is gone? There's supposed to be
but
one.
Also, there's a lot of head scratching when it comes to the subsidy is gone, because we understand that it is still in effect to some degree, and that it apparently is even costing us more than what we used to budget for right now. I mean, our international partners like the IMF, for instance, have warned against that, saying, listen, this is not the best way to go. However, the administration wants us to believe that there's no more subsidy. And apparently, what it costs to land a liter of PMS is more than what Nigerians are currently paying for the product. So, what do you have to say about that sincerity that seems to be lacking? Because Nigerians don't understand how, if subsidy is gone, somehow under the table the government is still paying subsidy.
No. I mean, the subsidy is gone is an euphemism for subsidy payment is reduced. We were paying less than 200 naira per liter in Abuja. Then it went to 600 and something, 650. Now it's about 700 naira per liter even here in Abuja. The issue for me, like I said, we are back to the era of under-recovery, where they were telling us that there's under-recovery, which means that federal government is using NNPC to pay, without budgetary allocation, to pay this subsidy, this differential. You recall that we just got out of fuel scarcity like last week, because the independent marketers were complaining about bridging gap. Is it bridge fund? Yeah. The money that they used to transport over 200 billion, which were not paid. I think they have been paid now. So when they say all things being equal, you floated the currency on the eve of removal of subsidy. Those are two killer policies that you want to dealt with simultaneously, and it has gone out of their hands now. The only thing they are claiming is that, they have been able to save more money, states are earning more money, but that is not true. The value of money that is being given to state is, when you look at the purchasing power of that money, is even worse than before the removal of subsidy, because everything now is the currency is highly devalued, and the purchasing power is very weak.
And in talking about how we got to where we are right now, a lot of people say, listen, perhaps Nigerians need to understand that this is a burden that has been there for quite some time, and given that the president is trying to implement some of these reforms that are going to hit Nigerians really, really hard. I mean, all those other issues are quite germane. But give me your take on the administration's position vis-a-vis what Nigerians are going through. I mean, the promise of, the palliative rollout, for instance. The CNG buses that we're talking about today are most likely going to be launched before May 29, even though there are certain issues regarding that. The interventions to the state governors, the release of grains, the pronouncement of a state of emergency on agriculture regarding food security, the issue with security itself, because right now we're at the eve of a new farming cycle, and there are some states that are known for their agrarian status who are going to be impacted because of the banditry as well as the terrorism that we're dealing with, especially in the northern part of the country. How do you rate Tinubu's approach towards, addressing these immediate concerns, especially on the security front, especially on, delivering some of these palliatives to help cushion the effect? Because some believe that he's done enough, and the governors are the ones who are not, pulling their weight here.
You know, social security is number one thing that you're supposed to consider first in any nation. And this government, where they get it wrong, they make the issue of removal of subsidy without having a solution on ground. You cannot just come out and make an announcement without having a solution. Yes, all the presidential candidates or other political parties, they issue on a statement that are going to remove subsidy. But not only to remove the subsidy, what are the plan implementation are you going to do? Is where this government gets it wrong. You cannot create problem without having a solution. The first thing you have to do is to create the solution.
Well, isn't that part of the issue, that he didn't create the problem? He's only trying to solve it.
No. He created the problem. As far as Nigerian concerned, he created the problem. Because the issue of subsidy is gone. It's what makes us where we are today. That's what the issue was
going anyway. By June that year.
Whether it's going only, that's what I'm saying. You are not supposed to say it there. Because you have to wait. When you have the full executive council, when you have legislative, that's where the decision will take collectively. Now, you take that, make that statement without a solution. Then after create the problem, you are trying to get a solution. That's why people are still suffering. Had it been you create the solution first on table, then you say subsidy is gone. Immediately there's implementation of the solution to the people. People cannot be getting the hit in their body. But today people are getting hit. People are not smiling. Everybody you see is fighting his face because there is so much tension and economic tension and the rest. So that's why we say the way government gets is wrong. Not only the implementation of the removal of subsidy, but the solution of this thing. Now we are talking about the buses.
Yeah.
We are talking about CNG buses. Do you have the CNG buses on ground? The answer is no. We are talking about the issue of grain. Is that grain enough for the Nigerians? The answer is no. So we have to provide all these things on ground first. 6 months is not small, because by 2 months we are going to do a lot of things to Nigerian people. But you say we have almost 6 months. Had it been Nigeria use this month to create solution for Nigeria, people will be starting smiling by now. But now we are talking about how to get the solution. By getting to the solution, we are creating another problem again. Look at now. We are talking about how to get people out of the issue of subsidy removal. Then we are creating problem by increasing taxation to the people. So how do you how do you want people to survive? You say, on the other hand, you are removing subsidy. You are trying to get a solution to the people. Then you are creating taxation. So how do you people to survive? Many people, you are either belong to the rich class or poor class. There is nothing like middle class today in Nigeria. Nothing like middle class. You are either belong to the rich class or poor class. So this is the damage this government have done to the people of this country. That's why we say this government, to me, as I am a long concern, I will rate this government as 0 because they did nothing.
In just 1 year.
Yes, because in 1 year you have to make people smiling.
You know, when you say 0, it's like there is no hope to be renewed.
Yes.
Going down the.
As far as
3 more years.
That's my personal opinion.
He has 3 more years. If this was football, this is like 10 minutes into the match.
No, it doesn't matter because it's already over. Because we are just.
You don't think he can turn things around?
I don't think so. Because this government, they are not looking for the solution. They are always creating problems to the people of this country. We are just like animal farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than the others. That's how this government is operate.
Okay, and let's just take a breather for a moment, because there's quite a lot to unpack regarding where we are right now as a country, the economic reforms, the Tinubu administration, its performance. This past week, the president, through a press release, or rather a statement from the Minister of Information and National Orientation, directed the ministers to present their scorecards to Nigerians. And over the past few days, we've seen some of those press conferences, stakeholder engagements, as some of these ministers rail out their scorecard over the past 1 year in actualizing the renewed hope agenda. We'll take a deeper look at some of the revelations, some of the outstanding issues that have come to light as far as the performance of the Tinubu administration is concerned, where we're headed towards, and what Nigerians should expect based on the current performance and the current trajectory in the country. More on this conversation after the break. Welcome back to the program. We're watching Sunday Politics on Trust TV. Here's a quick reminder: you can watch the show on the go by joining our YouTube and Facebook live streams. You can also follow us across our social media platforms just to stay in touch with some of our contents. Also, check out our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news and documentaries. On the program, we're taking a look at the State of the Nation as we count down to the first anniversary of the Tinubu administration in charge of running the affairs of the most populous black nation and the second largest economy on the African continent. We're x-raying the economic reforms and how far, or how well rather, the Tinubu administration has been able to actualize some of its campaign promises to deliver the goods, as the case may be, to Nigerians. On the program with me to analyze some of these developments, Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst, Ahmed Lawan, a politician and a political commentator. Gentlemen, just before the break, we're talking about where we are right now as a country, but to be more precise about the performance, let's talk about the ministers, because that 48-man team, or 47 as the case may be, is the dream team for the president. He's created some new ministries. He has given them marching orders to deliver the goods when it comes to his manifesto. We understand also during that presidential and ministerial retreat that, you know, he's going to keep track of their performances to make sure that, you know, they can only keep their job if they're delivering the goods. Mr. Jide Ojo, let me get your take on the ministers so far. Anyone stand out when it comes to performance? What are we looking at here? Especially if the president has to be very serious about actualizing the renewed hope agenda.
Madam, this is one area where I fought Mr. President in the formation of his cabinet. We do not, at this point in time, when we have very lean resources, go and form a behemoth, a 48-member cabinet. To do what? And it's glaring. You can't count up to 10 that you are reading about what they are doing. And although I will not say noise making is evidence of working, but at least those who are smart enough are cutting the media to showcase the little that they have been able to do. And I don't want to praising any one of them, but suffice to say that after 1 year, of course, we must also understand that these ministers only came into office in August. And it will be unfair and uncharitable to also be overly critical of some of them. I raised an issue in my column way back in August 2023. I said, now you want to measure performance. Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of State Development, Ministry of Culture, Entertainment, and these ministries that were not there, as at August, September, they don't have line budget. They will just be floating. No office, no staff, no budget. So how do you want them to perform? And the budget was signed into law on January 1, 2024. So they are barely effectively, we can't even say that they have been in the saddle for 4 months, because it's not the day the president signed the budget that they will start getting the releases. I don't know if you understand my drift. So one has to be very careful not to use the same yardstick. Look at it now. How do you split the resources of Ministry of Finance, Budget, and National Planning? You carve out finance as a standalone, left budget and national planning as a standalone. You created additional Ministry of State Development from, you created even an independent Ministry of Youth from sport. So the budget for 2023 is meant for youth and sport. And you know what it is. You have to seek environment for certain monies to be spent. And when somebody just came into office to learn the ropes, even the induction took some 1 or 2 months before they had that induction. So 1 year is not enough to really measure the performance of these people. But Bala Usman has been given that task with the matrix and all of that. Maybe she will have submitted to the president what she has been able to track in terms of performance of this minister. But I still strongly believe we don't need up to the number of ministers or ministries that we have. We should have thought of having a lean government that will save us a lot of resources, a lean government that will have been able to harness the little at our disposal for maximum benefit of all. Don't forget, if you look at the colossal amount Tinubu has borrowed in the 1 year that he's been in the saddle, it's like we didn't even save any money from fuel, from PNA, from subsidy, because he just kept borrowing. And then you ask yourself, the money, what are they applying it to? When you look at the controversies around 2024 budget and even the supplementary budget of 2023, the purchase of, is it 54 or 47 billion operational vehicles of the National Assembly, the renovation of the National Assembly and the billions that were voted for it, the issue of budget padding and the trillions that, according to Senator Abdul Ningi, that could not be tracked in terms of cost, in terms of location of this project. So for a government that is serious about renewed hope, I think those nuts and bolts should have been tightened, and we should have had a more focused, a more nuanced administration. Granted that you came in at a time the economy is hemorrhaging, you should have had a more lean budget and save more money and even block more leakages than all the corruption that we have even also witnessed under this administration.
I'm happy you landed on that issue of corruption, because that's where I want us to pick up next. One of the unending issues that continues to, come up administration after administration is our inability to tackle corruption headlong, especially corruption in government, which has been a part of the factors responsible for undermining the growth and development of this country. There's denying people good roads, there's denying people, classes for their children to go to and sit comfortably and receive education. There's denying people hospitals, there's denying people security, and so on and so forth. Give me a sense of what you make of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration when it comes to fighting corruption, because, just months in, he had to deal with the fact that one of his ministers was fingered in an alleged corrupt practice, leading to a suspension. Today, Nigerians are asking questions about where that investigation is. But reading from everything else that is happening, holding the ministers under Buhari accountable, for instance, Sadia, had her day in court. The former Minister of Aviation is currently battling his own case. Gordon Emefiele is the crowning, so to say, suspect as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. What is your reading of the fight against corruption under the Tinubu administration so far? Well, partially he's doing well in that sector, the issue of corruption, because for the first time I saw the Mr. President suspend his minister because he was accused of corruption. And secondly, there is former ministers that were accused of corruption. Today they are going under trial. So these are the kind of things we need to see. And also, if the government that continue doing this is going to put full stop to the issue of having an office, public office, and try to siphon public fund. Because if people are doing it, are going free, then that's what makes people to continue doing it more. But the way this government and Tinubu administration started dealing with the ministers, and those ministers are the favorite minister to him, and because they were accused of one or the other, they were suspended the office. So these are the kind of things we need to see in the issue of fighting corruption. I think partially he's doing well in that sector. And secondly, my friend mentioned that 1 year is not enough for the minister to do well in the office. To me, 1 year is enough for them, because he says some of them that didn't have the allocation, don't have the logistics as well as the framework.
Some of them, they don't even know the office that they were given to, because they don't even understand the office. Because look at most of the ministers there, they don't even know the office they were occupying, because they don't know how to even govern that ministries. But some of them are doing well, and whether we like it or not, because despite I didn't vote for this government, or I'm not with this government, I will say the truth sometimes. There are some ministers that are performing. If you look at now, some ministers are doing well. Some ministers that you can't even name their nation hearing their name because it's that they are not appointing of this government. So it's naturally you find that all these fingers are not the same. Some will perform and some will not. So it's left for the government to checkmate them.
He promised that he is going to be very straightforward about their performance. Those KPIs, the role of Hadiza Bala Usman, for instance, in keeping a track of the deliverables. Are you in any way surprised that he has not reshuffled the cabinet, for instance, or fired anyone? Do you think he is actually going to keep to his word that if they underperform, they're going to be shown the way out?
I believe if the report goes to him, he will go to many of them. They will be shuffling this government. Many of them will leave the office. And if you look at the way Tinubu administration is doing administration, when he was in the government, he was the governor of Lagos State. He did the same thing. Just one year in the office, you are not performing, you send you out. So I believe he's going to do the same as the president of this country. So let's wait and see. Maybe after the Hadiza Bala Dissect Committee may send the report to the president, maybe many of them are not coming back as ministers.
Do you share that sentiment also, that we might see a reshufflement in the weeks to come or months to come, which may signal, this no-nonsense attitude when it comes to underperformance?
It's not impossible, and it's in the horizon. He knows, even without being told, that Nigerians are not happy with him. His approval rating is at the lowest ever. So he wants to do things to appease ordinary citizens, but I still believe it's not about the number. We don't need the number of ministries. You created Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and put your cousin there. What has he achieved? Does he even understand marine and blue economy in the first instance? While creating Ministry of Steel Development, stand alone from Ministry of Solid Mineral, that's duplication of effort. What has Prince Abubakar Aduson been able to achieve as a substantive minister? And he even put 2 ministers there in Ministry of State Development.
Do you think this is all just political patronage?
It's patronage. That's what I'm saying. It's patronage. And I'm saying part of the reason why I'm not pitying this administration is that you sacrifice prudence on the altar of patronage. You can't satisfy everybody that mobilize voters for you. Yes, you gave some seats to opposition, like Yeson Wike, like even the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, as at the time he appointed Adebayo Adelabu, he was a member of a court party. Before he now went and resigned and joined APC, rejoined APC. He was in APC before. When he didn't win the
Ahmed Lawan is very familiar with that kind of move.
No, when he didn't win the ticket of APC in the lead up to 2023, as he did in 2019 when Ajimobi favored him, he now left and went and contested under a court party. So he made him minister. A month or thereabouts after being sworn in as minister, he went and resigned from Accord and then became a APC. Now, and some people have said it's a wrong peg in a square hole. That someone like him, who is an accountant, should not have been in charge of power. So there are issues of cases like that, as a round peg in a square hole, square peg in a round hole. But what I'm even more after is that if you say you don't have much money, you don't go and marry more wives. You have 2 wives. You have not been able to feed them and their children. You now say, oh, I want people to see me as a rich man. You went and married additional 8 wives. Right. At the end of the day, when Buhari had 43 ministers, including himself, we said there are too many.
Right. Okay.
Why do you want to have